The Golden Age and Silver Age of Yu-Gi-Oh! Welcome to the Solemn Yu-Gi-Oh! Channel where we discuss everything collecting and investing in Yu-Gi-Oh! Also, do you like my shirt? I like my shirt. It's available in the link in the description, zerodamagegaming.com. You know, I just like them stonks. There's also a financial advisor shirt. Crazy shit. You told me to do that, by the way. So I often get the question, like, you talk so much about Blue Eyes and so forth. What about GX? What about 5Ds? What about Zexal and so forth? And so today I figured I'd basically give my views on the different ages. Now, be aware, I love GX. I love Zane specifically. Zane Truesdale was my daddy. I literally had an age-old Yu-Gi-Oh! Channel on YouTube called Zane Ruler. Extra edgy, because I was a little kid, of course. And so yeah, I love GX, be aware. But I also love dual monsters like Kaiba and Pegasus. Once again, I just liked all the edgy characters, basically. So when I look at these eras, which ones are the best? Again, that's just subjective. Personally, I want to split it up into ages. I've seen Rudy from Alpha Investments make something about like the Golden Age of MTG, the Silver Age, and so forth, and I thought that was a pretty interesting concept. You know, you will always have people looking at history and try to put it into brackets, hoping to make sense of the world, and technically you can't, but maybe it's useful to look at things that way, and so I wanna. Now, I haven't seen anyone try to put these ages in categories yet, so if someone did before and I don't know about it, let me know. But here's how I see it. When we speak of the Golden Age, I want to talk essentially about Duel Monsters and Battle City era. We are talking about the Blue Eyes, the Dark Magicians, the Exodias, the Dark Magician Girls, the Egyptian Gods, basically those sets. Now you could say, oh, that's biased. Well, the reason is that was the age where the highest amount of kids were playing the game. It was the age where it broke the mainstream, where we had legitimate big ass news outlets talking about, is this gonna be the Pokemon killer Yu-Gi-Oh! From Japan? And you had like 55,000 kids in Japan storm a dome, like crazy stuff like that. That was the age where the mainstream was shocked by Yu-Gi-Oh! That was insanity, like it outsold the other card games. All of those numbers from back then started then getting into the GX era and so forth, made it so Yu-Gi-Oh! Broke the world record for most selling card game of all time. Yeah, people can retcon history all they want. Yu-Gi-Oh! Got that record, and 2 years later broke their own record again with being the most selling trading card game of all time. Now they broke that record, be aware, in 2009 and then 2011, but you have to know that all these numbers, you know, compound on each other. But so be aware of that. The craze really started in that starter deck Kaiba, starter deck Yugi, and then basically kept on going for quite a few years. And so all the kids in the playground playing Yu-Gi-Oh! That was really a Duel Monsters era thing. That 2002, 3, 4, and so forth. Now that doesn't mean this is better. Like when I look from an anime quality perspective, I would want to say GX is better. But again, the biggest amount of people were exposed to Yu-Gi-Oh! At that point. That is why we still have memes of Blue Eyes and Exodia, Obliterate, and so forth, and Pot of Greed outside of Yu-Gi-Oh! There are mainstream normal people who aren't into playing the game who do still know all those Blue Eyes and Exodia memes purely because of how culturally impactful Yu-Gi-Oh! Was at that point, and it never had that again. Be aware of that. So that's why I would see that as the Golden Age. Yu-Gi-Oh! Will forever be known, even in the mainstream, as, oh yeah, there's the Blue Eyes thing, right? So be very aware of that. Again, I love GX, but you can't beat the entire world being shaken by a franchise. Now next, when we move on to the Golden Age, which is, again, just my opinion, Battle City Duel Monsters era. It's not one season, we know it's more, so I guess it's like 2 years. Then we move into what's my opinion the Silver Age. Now I will not say, oh, Gold Duel Monsters, Silver GX, and no, that's not true. In my opinion, the Silver Age is GX and then the start of 5Ds, or you know, the first half of 5Ds. Again, it broke the world record for best-selling card game in 2009 and then 2011. So GX still has some of the most beloved cards in this franchise. People who got into Yu-Gi-Oh! During that craze, the golden era where everything was possible, and stuck with it, played in GX and watched all of GX and loved the elemental heroes, loved maybe even the ancient gears with Crazy Dr. Crowler, loved the cyber dragons and even the cyber darks like me, and basically consumed all of that. And that's where I basically come in. That's how I lived. I was exposed to Yu-Gi-Oh! In the golden age, as I want to call it again, and then I went through the entire silver age. And I want to dare to say that 5Ds, at least the start, is still part of that. You know, GX really peaked hard around that Phantom Darkness-ish era. Now, back then, a lot of people were saying, whoa, this is so toxic. Dark Arm Dragon Tier 0, this is so toxic. But a lot of people now think back like, wow, I want to play Teledat format again. I'm like, did we all forget? Everyone bitched about that, but now everyone remembers it fondly. Crazy how time works. But so yeah, start of 5Ds, I still want to add to that. Synchro was an exciting mechanic, and ghost rares were mind-blowing. Now, I'm not a big ghost rare collector at all. I just like how they look, but I'm not interested in hoarding them like some people are, but I respect it. It's really hard to get 10s in those. But so I still want to add that to the Silver Age. I think a lot of people were still playing in that GX era and then stuck through a portion of 5Ds. Now, me personally, I got out of Yu-Gi-Oh! Around the middle of 5Ds. So you could say, oh, maybe there's bias there. I won't try to refute that. This is just how I see it. I want to say that after this silver age of GX with a part of 5Ds, we entered into this bronze era. A lot of things got a lot stronger, a lot faster. And then we are, what do we call it? Bronze? The bronze age, I guess. We entered XYZs. We entered pendulums. I don't really think that was the most exciting stuff for a lot of players. Now, competitively, it might have been the height for quite some people. You know, you could argue that the golden age, the competitive scene was actually just really sacky and bullshit because of Pot of Greed and Delinquent Duo and Graceful Charity and, you know, all of the stuff that makes GOAT format. It's just game breaking when you draw those things. So you could argue definitely that competitively the game was maybe better in some points throughout XYZ Pendulum and so forth. That may very well be true, and there's definitely some really cool decks that came out in that era. But from a cultural relevance standpoint, I don't know how well it was still being received. Now, then we get into links. I don't really want to put that in an era. I don't know if that's still part of bronze or if that's a new thing on its own already. Now, if you have a big opinion on that, let me know in the comments down below. But it's always very hard for me to judge a current time period while it's still happening. Again, during the Teledat and the DAT formats, a lot of people bitched, but it was also one of the points where the most people played. And looking back, everyone's like, whoa, Dark Armed was so cool. Whereas back then we were all, oh, Dark Armed is so toxic, even though we all still played it. So again, about links, maybe right now a lot of people can bitch about card A, B, or C. But in the future, maybe people will look back and go like, whoa, remember this card? Remember Hulk of Fibrax? Oh, remember going Virtual World, blah, 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 and VF? Remember that? That's very possible. So I don't want to judge right now. I don't know if this is bronze or a new thing entirely. I'm just feeling pretty confident about where to put gold and silver. So when we then get into cards to collect or invest in, that's kind of how I see it as well. I feel that the cards that will do the very best will probably be the ones from early Golden Age, the truly iconic ones in Golden Age, and then also the very rare ones from Silver Age. We already saw that, by the way. This is not me being a predictor of the future or anything. We just see some ultis from GX are crazy rare and then crazy expensive, and some ghosts from 5Ds are crazy rare and crazy expensive. But we don't really see the lower versions of those cards do quite as well, and that's because I feel, again, it's not quite as iconic, and people back then were already protecting their cards quite a bit better. And of course, because a lot of rarity was pushed into ulti and ghost, maybe a lot of the capital is actually being sucked up to that. That's very possible as well. But I hope that cleared up my view on it. Now, if you want to compartmentalize this differently, let me know. Let me know what you think should be gold or how it should be split off and how you would split it off. It would probably be really interesting to read. That is all. Like, subscribe, and I will see you soon. Ciao.